I'm Carolyn Waldo. This is the Wally and Methot Show. Here are your hosts, Brent Wallace and Marc Methot.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Brent Wallace. He's Marc Methot, and a special thank you to two-time Olympic gold medalist Carolyn Waldo for that intro. Okay, Meth, big show today. Drake Batherson's on the show. Also, Ian Mendes from The Athletic stops by along with Craig to help discuss how we actually chose our name and why it needed to be harder than it was and how you were really no help at all.
Okay, there's a couple things here. One, you refused to have Methot as the first name, and I'm easygoing. I don't really care, and you're a bit more of a diva than I am, so I let you have it. And two, I'd just like to add for our viewers out there, because it's not just listeners, Brent's finally changed his sweater and looks way more professional today. That last one gave me a headache, so I want to make it known that he's wearing something a little more neutral today. It's a little easier on the eyes.
Your t-shirt looks amazingly comfortable.
It's a stormtrooper. Okay. Any Star Wars fan out there will have a deep appreciation for this.
I'm sure they're all listening to our show. Let's move on, shall we? You were a big help for the name, but you were a big help for today's trivial trivia. We'll get to that later in the show. But first, let's go back to the Ottawa Senators. Just wrapped up a 6-game road trip. They lost 5 of those 6 games and won the other one in a shootout. So obviously times are tough for Ottawa. We knew they were going to be. And this is where people keep talking about they needed to bring in veterans who were good in the room. So Meth, as you've been on both sides of this, the young guy and the old guy, how important are the veterans to try and keep this thing on the rails?
Yeah, that's a good question. I've got a ton of different scenarios that I could pick from, but there's a couple that stand out to me. And when I was very young, I believe it was my second training camp in Columbus with the Blue Jackets. I may have been 18 years old. We were doing a bag skating drill in training camp. And I remember back then, my legs were a little stronger than they are now. So I was ahead of the guys, maybe a half lap ahead of them at the end of practice. I had a lot of gas that day. I was rolling. And once we got back to the line, a couple of the players, other older vets, were giving me the gears a little bit for like being a hero and being ahead of everybody. And believe me, that's not my style typically, but you're in training camp, you're nervous, everyone's watching. And I took that to heart. Some of these old vets are like mad at me that I was ahead, but Footer steps in right away. He goes, Meth, fuck those guys. Just keep skating. Don't worry about anybody else. And it stood, it stuck with me because I'm, 35 now and I can still remember it clear as day. And that's just a small example of the power a veteran can have when he speaks up and helps out the younger players.
So did that ever translate into a game situation for you then?
Same. And it's funny. Same situation. Footer again. Obviously after that training camp, I was sent down, went back down to the American League at the time, I believe, or it may have been junior, but at some point the following season, when I got called back up, Footer was obviously still there and the captain, and we were in Colorado, I believe, and Claude Noel came into the room during one of the intermissions and just tore a strip off me in front of the whole team. It was embarrassing, very uncomfortable. I think it was Laperriere was playing for Colorado and he jammed the puck into the net and I didn't clear him out hard enough. I guess they wanted me to cross-check him in the back of the head. I don't know what they wanted me to do different, but he came in and embarrassed me in front of the team. Footer was sitting right beside me in the locker room. Same situation. As Claude Noel's walking away, Footer speaks up and he goes, Matt, fuck that guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Just go back out there and play. Don't worry about a thing. And I remember, again, another scenario that stuck with me. I have so much respect for what he did because that's an uncomfortable situation for a player to have to undermine a coach maybe a little bit. But again, gave me confidence. I was able to go back out there and play a good game.
And Adam Foote has always been widely regarded as a true great leader on the ice. So I can continue to hear these stories about Adam Foote and how well he's taking care of, I guess, young players throughout his career. Okay, let's move on now to headlines. And here they are for today. Leaving his mark, the midseason report card by Mr. Marc Methot. The Silver 7. What Meth likes or doesn't like about dressing 7D. Trade me right effing now. Trade deadline's a month away. What does Ottawa need to do? The Oil Kings. What are your thoughts as a D-man trying to face McDavid and Draisaitl and storms are brewing? Are the Carolina Hurricanes for real? Okay, Marc, let's start with your grades for the midseason report card for the Ottawa Senators.
You can sit back and give players letters or grades, whatever you want to call them. I think it's stupid. I've never been a big fan of that because I don't think it's very indicative of what you're actually getting as a player or what the production level might be on any given night. And it's usually not very accurate. So for me, I think there's a bigger picture here with Ottawa, and we just have to come to terms with the fact that these guys are it's clearly a rebuild. Along the way with rebuilds, as we all know, you're going to lose games. And on any given night, you're going to lose badly. And that's just something everybody has to accept right now. So to have to grade a bunch of young kids right now halfway through a year isn't fair. I just, that's not my style, so I won't do that. But I do believe in praising some people right now. And I think there are some no-brainers. So the young guys, including Batherson, Kachuk, Norris, Stützle, unbelievably overwhelming response from the fan base. We think they've achieved everything they've had to up to this point, and they've met the expectation level and then some. And for me, a pleasant surprise would be Artem Zub on D. I think he's a no-brainer. He's come in very quietly, had a very good season defensively, which is what I'm biased towards. He's a great skater. He's got great gap. He makes good decisions with the puck. So for me right now, he's the stud on the back end that I've really been a fan of, obviously excluding Shabbat, who's, you know, the horse that drives that group back there, but really big fan of Zub's play. He's been reliable. And it takes me back to my original point that I've been making for weeks now. The glaring hole is obviously the defense core, and they're going to have to make some adjustments there and going to have to make some improvements. And I don't know that it all just falls alone solely on the defense. I think there is a little bit of the back support that we're missing from the forward group, the defensive side of the play from their angle, and then obviously with the goaltending and the inconsistencies there. So there's some improvements to be made moving forward. I feel like that's something you're not necessarily going to see at the trade deadline, probably more or less in the summer with the free agency stuff. And they're going to have to make a bit of a splash here moving forward.
Okay. I'm going to veer off here a bit, and we'll look at management, because if we don't want to pick on the players, and I don't think it's fair either, they're the ones who have been put in this position. We knew going in that this wasn't going to be a very good hockey team. Does this not fall right squarely on Pierre Dorion and the management of this team and the way it's played?
Well, yes and no. I mean, it's easy to point the finger at them, right? When you look at some moves and you question some of the veterans maybe they brought in because the production level just hasn't been there. And yeah, okay, that responsibility, no question, has to fall on them. But on the same note, I mean, you're bringing guys in that have been established NHL players on their prior teams, and you're expecting them to bring that same level of compete and leadership here on this club. And I mean, everything's compounded when you have a bunch of young new players that have no experience, inconsistent goaltending, and a lot of older guys that in some cases obviously look like they've lost a step. So yeah, you could probably point the finger a little there, but at the end of the day, it comes down to what's into that locker room, and they got to do the job.
Okay, let's move on to, speaking of doing the job, the Silver Seven. Ottawa dressed 7D. Now, this used to be quite common under Guy Boucher. I'm going to take it that you're not a big fan of this move. I
don't see the point. And I've had this discussion with some people on social media the other day. It just, to me, it's completely unnecessary. And I think I speak for almost every single defenseman in the world when I say it's just a huge pain in the ass. You're sharing ice time. You're alternating D partners on any given point during games. So your top two guys, they're never really going to get affected by it. They're still going to see their ice time. They're still going to play lots. It's not really a big deal to them. It's not an issue. But your second and third pairings, all of a sudden you're playing with your guy that you normally have chemistry with, your D partner, and all of a sudden you're going to play with the number 6 or 7 guy for a shift to give another guy rest. And the coach feels the need to cater to those guys that are in the lineup as your 7th D man so they can get some ice time. It just doesn't work. I hate the dynamic. It screws up the forward lines because then you have to rotate in a centerman. It doesn't work. Not a fan of it. I wish teams never did it. Having said all that, I love playing for Guy Boucher. I have to make that known. That was one small thing, rather a big thing that I just always disagreed with.
Did you tell him?
No, God, no. I never told him anything. I didn't have a letter on my jersey. I was very outspoken as a player. I wasn't shy to voice my opinion, but it's a losing battle. You got to pick your battles as a player, and that's one that I'd never win.
Okay, so then what about perhaps when you go down to 5D due to an injury in the game?
Nightmare.
You okay with that?
Nope, nightmare. I wish you had like some reserve forward that could just come back and alleviate pressure, because as like a 230-pound man on the ice, like I get tired, right? So if you're looking at 25 minutes of ice to 30 minutes, like in that range, I mean, I'm dying. I'm sucking wind out of my behind when I'm out there. So it's nice to have 6. It's a good solid number. If you have to go down to 5 for a little bit because one of your D-men got in a fight or something, which I was always against, then so be it. But if it's avoidable, stick to 6. You're laughing.
So there's one time in Montreal, I'm working for Global. So it's 1997. Stefan Quintal is playing for the Montreal Canadiens, and I'm covering the Habs. They go down to 5D early on. So after the game, I stopped Q and I said, hey, was that a major factor of not having a 6D? And he just stared at me like, you're the stupidest kid in the world right now for asking this question. He's like, no. And I was like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
I never asked that question again about 5D. I was like, nope, they're good. They can play 5.
No, it's just, but some guys will argue, like a guy like Erik Karlsson, when I was playing in Ottawa, he would have loved it. That guy would play 35 minutes a night and he'd be happy. So it's all relative to the type of D-man you're talking to, right?
Okay. Number 3, trade me right effing now. That is, what do the Ottawa Senators need to do or not do, I guess, at the trade deadline? Do they have to make some moves here as they go into the off season?
Oh, that's a tough one because first of all, with the COVID and the quarantining, I think there's a 2-week lull, I believe, on the players if you're coming across the border, right? So if you're Ottawa right now, you're obviously not really focused on winning a Stanley Cup. I don't believe this season. I'm just being realistic. I know some fans probably hate hearing that.
I know. I think you're pretty safe. Yeah.
Okay. Because I am a Senators fan. I guess I'm a little biased, but anyway.
You played for them. Yeah, you're allowed.
Exactly. So I don't know how much we actually have to give up. I know we have about, I think it's roughly 8 UFAs that are probably somewhat available. If you have an option in your peer right now, maybe you look at shedding 1 or 2 here or there if you can, and making room for perhaps a couple players that are down on the farm right now and let them play out the rest of the season up here. I think that's the ideal situation. And then as far as trade bait goes right now, I think your only real prospect that you might consider, depending on where he's at and where, the scouting staff believes in, is Logan Brown, right? And we've already had long discussions about that. I know it's been exhausted at this point, but I mean, I believe he's hurt. Is he? Yep. Is he hurt right now? Yeah. Okay. So I guess you wait till he gets healthy. Hopefully get something going, get a little bit of jam going again down there. And then we call him up and see what he can do at this level. And for me, it comes down to that. But as far as making big splashes, I know Pierre's not shy to make moves, and there are always certainly options out there, but I don't know how much we're looking to improve the lineup right now mid-season. It's just not very realistic.
They could have used some help in Edmonton. And so my question to you is, how is a defenseman, and I'm going to go with a 230-pound defenseman, contain Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl? Like, do they need to be played harder, tougher? Like, did you need to punch him in the face a little bit more? Like, what do you do to contain those guys who are having their ways with the Ottawa Senators?
And and they feasted on the Sens. I mean, it was tough to watch, and that's not a slight at Ottawa because they're a young, inexperienced team and they're still learning. So, I mean, with players like with that tandem with Draisaitl and McDavid, you can work anything you have in the book. They're still going to find success. But when I played against them and we had Geese system doing that lefty lock situation, it really worked. I mean, for us, we saw a lot of success doing it. So if you're the coach or whoever, you assign a forward line, you make sure these guys can skate, and you make sure that your third man is always high in the offensive zone. So you have your 2 D-men and you have a third man, which is usually one of your wingers, maybe your centerman, but they're staying high and you're staying above McDavid the whole time. You're not jumping in on a loose puck. You're staying on the defensive side. And I don't care if your forward has to back check facing our net, you stay above him and you hopefully keep them to the outside, because McDavid and Draisaitl, both of them want to use the middle of the ice. That's their bread and butter, and it opens everything up for them. And it's no different for Draisaitl. This guy can skate, and all the focus is always on McDavid to a degree because of his dynamic speed. But if you watch Draisaitl, I watched him one of the last games. He flies up the middle, and he's really, really quick and powerful. Very, very underrated speed. So you got to keep them outside. And as far as the tough stuff goes and the rough stuff, you can mix that up a little bit to try and frustrate them. But to me, it's simpler than that. If they're along the wall and they move the puck, finish your check. Always finish your check. Get in their way. You got to stay above them. And that comes down to that good back pressure from your forwards when they are breaking out and having a good third man high. And it's really quite as simple as that.
Okay. And the last one for today's headlines, storms are brewing. Is Carolina a legit Stanley Cup contender? What's going on?
Well, they're for real. I mean, they're above Tampa right now, and they're 10-1-1 at home. So I don't know where that home ice advantage is coming into play with 0 fans in the building, or have they implemented some down there in Carolina? I'm not even really sure. I still think it's 0 all over, right?
No, I think they've got fans.
Oh, they do?
I think they've got some, yeah.
Well, that might explain it, but they're incredibly successful at home right now. So I've got some stats here. I'm not a big stats guy, but they're third in the league in goals. They're ninth in goal against, so they're already on the right track, and they've got the best power play in the league. And when I look at their lineup, you don't see any overwhelmingly big name guys, and I'm reluctant to say that, but I'm talking like marquee players around the league, right? I think Trocheck's their leading scorer. And I mean, he's having a fantastic season. I think he's at around a point a game. But in any case, I find them very well balanced up front. I find their decor is, again, also very well balanced, but they've got some size and they move the puck very well. And then, more importantly, their goaltending situation. So Peter Mrazek's been out for a while now, obviously, with an injury, and Reimer's filled in very nicely. And I have this other fella's name written down because I always struggle with it. I think it's Nedeljkovic. Is that the backup right now?
I'm not even going to weigh in. I'm just going to let you hang yourself there.
Yeah, I forget. I always, but I've watched only a couple of their games, but he's been playing incredible, and there's an argument to be made that he's been better than Reimer. So they're just rolling right now, and I don't think it's a coincidence. I feel like this is a long time coming for this group, so it'll be a team to watch for sure.
It is interesting to see how well they're playing, and I've always been a huge fan of James Reimer, and so I want to see that he can perhaps.
It's a nice little redemption story. Yep. Exactly.
Yep. Good for him. All right. Lots more still to come on the show, including Drake Batherson is coming up after the break. Don't forget, later in the show, Ian Mendes, and we're giving away some free stuff that Marc Methot may actually sign himself.
Ooh.
You're watching the Wally and Methot show. All right, welcome back to the show. And now pleased to be joined by number 19 of the Ottawa Senators, Drake Batherson. Drake, just back from a long road trip. Appreciate your time. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
And we'll just get to the road trip. And I know it was a long road trip for you. So can you just sum up, I guess, what it's been like over the last couple of weeks here for this team trying to find its groove right now?
Yeah, no, I think we were in a pretty good run of games there. We played some good hockey throughout, the last couple of weeks, and then, the road trip didn't go the way we wanted to. We played a couple good games in Calgary, and then obviously in Edmonton, they kind of took it to us there. But happy to be home now for a few weeks, and we got some big games starting tomorrow night and Monday. So we got to look forward to those ones.
You have 2 games left against the Edmonton Oilers. Will you be happy when you don't have to see them anymore?
Yes and no. I think, for the rest of my career now, I'm going to want to beat them even more. Obviously, I think the record's like 0-6 or 0-7 against them this year. So, the last 2 games, we want to beat them for sure. And I think we beat every other team in the division except them. So, no, we want to beat them.
So, Drake, I'm also curious, just coming back here, we talk about you went on this goal scoring streak for 6 games, and then you hit a couple of games you didn't score. And I saw people asking questions like, what's wrong with Drake Batherson? But did they forget the fact you scored 6 straight games?
Yeah, I don't know. I said that to the media the other day. Like, someone asked me how I was feeling that I didn't score in 3 or 4 games. And I said, I think every good, all the best goal scorers in the world, they go 3 or 4 games without a goal. So, I think if you score it almost every second night, you score 50 every year, but no one can do that. So, I'm happy with where I'm at now. And, I've been playing good, and just like sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't. So that's just the way she goes.
Drake, I was going to ask you talked about, having a pretty good season so far, 9 goals, 19 points, compared to what you had in the first 2 seasons. You must be obviously happy with the way you've progressed here.
Yeah, no, I think, my first 2 years of pro, I had like good starts and just wasn't consistent as I wanted to be. And coming into this year, I want to, be a factor, almost every night, if not, every night either, which was if I was scoring goals, making plays, or chipping in other ways to finish my hits and blocking shots. So, I've been trying to do a little bit of both all year. And I've been put in positions to succeed by the coaching staff and playing with some great players too. So, it's been awesome so far. And I'm looking forward to the last 26 games we got.
Drake, random question here, because you touched on the American League a little bit. I was wondering, I know from my experiences, what it did for me, and I know you touched on a little in the media. What would you like your biggest takeaway from playing in the A for a couple of years? Like, what did you get from that as far as getting an easier transition to the NHL? Because I know a lot of guys right now watching the games are comparing it to some of the other players in your organization, and it's kind of a contentious issue. So what would you have gathered from playing in the A, and how much did that help you?
Yeah, no, it helped me a lot. Obviously down there, like you play 3 games in 3 nights, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just to learn, you get to learn how to grind. You know, people always say it's a grind down there, but you know, it's fun too. I think it was a lot like junior. I found in junior, I had a lot of travel, and then in the A, it's like that too. But yeah, just the mental aspect, I think, helped me a lot, and being able to, you know, play 76 games in a season just gets you prepared. Obviously in the NHL, you're playing almost every second night. So no, it's just, it's a great stepping stone. And, you know, I can't thank my coaching staff and, you know, everyone down there and the older guys. They've helped me so much when I was 20 and 21 years old. And yeah, it made the transition easier for sure. And I think every player would tell you that.
Well, and you're living on your own, right? Like, you go from playing in junior with billets to all of a sudden, like, okay, I got to pay this bill now and do this and that. And it's a huge adjustment. I'm sure you had some help, but I mean, I'm wondering, was that tough on you at all at first?
Yeah, no, like you said, you had to learn how to do all that. My cooking's still a little rusty and all that, but yeah, learning to do your laundry, like my billets did everything for me in junior. So you know, I had to learn to do all that. So no, it's been a, you know, work in progress, but I think I got her nailed down now finally in year 3.
Awesome.
Are you a skip the dishes kind of guy, or can you cook?
Yeah, I got like maybe 3 meals. I don't got a barbecue this year, so that's killing me a bit. But no,
Yeah,
definitely Uber Eats, skip the dishes is often for sure.
Drake, Wally and I had a conversation, and he was doing a little digging, and he told me that to gain a whole bunch of weight, you had to like crush McDonald's or something like that all summer just to get up like 20 pounds. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, no, it was grade 12, and I was playing junior A, and our season ended early. We got knocked out like first round, and I was still in high school, and I was weighing like 150-ish, and I wanted to get like 185 before my 18-year-old year junior. And no word of a lie, I put on 30 pounds before the end of the school year. So from like middle of March to middle of June, put on 30 pounds, and then trained the whole summer and started eating better, and then stayed the same, and then played major junior that year, and then got drafted. So yeah,
that's a bold strategy, but I respect it. I don't like, because Wally told me that, I'm like, what did that do to his stomach? But I guess you were young enough that you just got away with it, right? Like, you didn't have any long-term issues.
Wasn't the best looking frame, but you know, my strength coach at the time was on the Acadia football team, and he told me to do it. He's like, yeah, you'll put on weight and then train all summer with me, and I'll get you in shape. So hey, it worked. But
nice.
Yeah, it wasn't the smartest thing, probably.
But like that.
You talked about being really small when you were younger. Did that play a factor into your golf game? And I'm curious because did you almost quit hockey to play golf?
Yeah, when I was 16, I won like 5 out of 6 tournaments that summer. I won my men's club. I just turned 16 years old, and I was shooting like even or under almost every day. And all these guys in Nova Scotia were getting these like golf scholarships down south. And I was like, man, that'd be pretty cool. I could either stay here and go to university. Probably I didn't ever think I was going to play pro because I was so small. I was like, I might as well maybe quit hockey and go golf. But like, I could be at the rink all day and like practice all day, but at the course, I could never go to the range for like 3 hours. So I knew right there, I was like, I got to stay with hockey. And ended up working out.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
Yeah.
So now does the team know that you're a pretty good golfer? Like, I know obviously under COVID, it's been a little bit tougher, but are you trying to take guys for money? Do they know how good you are at golf? Is your golf game still good?
Yeah. The guys are always talking about golf, but I don't really say a whole lot. The boys like bragging about their games, but one of these days I'll just let my golfing do the talking. I don't like bragging it up, so it'll be a surprise.
So what do you shoot now? Do you play a lot in the summer?
Yeah, like my dad's a scratch. We live right on the golf course back home, so we play probably 3 or 4 times a week. Last year, in the men's club, my dad won. He shot even par both days, and the first day I was 1 under, and then the second day I was 3 over. He ended up beating me by 1 or something. So no, he got the bragging rights last year. But yeah, still, like, depends how much I play. Start of the summer I play a lot, and I'm a scratch, and then by end of August I'd say I'm like a plus or a 5 or 6 by the end of the
God,
summer.
that must be nice. That must be nice.
Yeah.
Do you find, Drake, do you find lifting affects your game a lot? Like when you're doing all that training and then you go out and play around, like, do you notice a difference in that? I know it's a random question. I'm just curious because it affects my game big time. Like if I'm in the gym working hard and then I go right to the course, I'm dog shit, like straight up brutal. So I'm wondering, does it have the same effect to you?
Yeah, it depends what kind of training. Like earlier on in the summer, I'm lifting more, so I notice it more then. And then by the end of the summer, I'm skating like 3 or 4 times a week, and I have my head up all practice. And then after practice, I'll go play golf. And my first chip, I'm just taking it back and just looking at the hole before I even fall through. So just like I'm going for a pass, looking for a pass. So no, it definitely plays an effect for sure on the golf game. But yeah, it's not too bad though.
I like how Meth is using this kind of lifting weights as an excuse for how bad his golf game is. But let's move on, shall we? So we talked about the summer, and obviously we talk a lot about who you play with in the summer, and that's, Marchand and Nathan McKinnon, of course, Sidney Crosby. I want you to tell me what it's like playing with those guys in a 3-on-3 tournament, and how is it intimidating, or how was it at the beginning?
Yeah, my first time was definitely intimidating. Like, obviously those are 3 guys I've watched my whole life being from there. And we were just doing this simple passing drill in the neutral zone first drill. And I was just like shaking, like my arms were shaking. I just didn't want to mess up the pass. Because like, if you don't have a good practice, like you never know, you might not get invited back out. And I was a young guy, so I just wanted to make sure I had a good practice. But no, I ended up doing well, and I got the invite for the rest of the summer. But no, it's pretty special. I mean, they work so hard, and they're the best players in the world. So, and Sid's achieved everything you can possibly achieve, and he's still, the hardest going guy in June 15th in the middle of summer. Like, no one would ever think that. That's what makes him so good. So I look at that and just know I have a long road ahead of me to go on, and can't take a day off. And it's pretty special being able to skate with them every day for sure.
How competitive is Sidney Crosby in summer 3-on-3?
Yeah, it's great. It's crazy. All 3 of them are. Like, I remember we were doing this like tip and drills, like 3 tips in front of the net, and like McKinnon missed 1 tip and drill, and he just snapped because he missed 1 tip out of 3. I'm like barely getting 1 out of 3, and he just missed 1, and he just lost it. And yeah, they just, Sid and Nate are always on opposite teams and go head to head, and then Marshy kind of floats from team to team just to stir it up, depending on the bodies that day. But no, they're so competitive, and no, they always want to win. And you guys see it out there on the ice. They're going hard every night.
Drake, what's the dynamic like with the young guns right now when you're out there on the ice? Like, it's bizarre. I've never seen a line with basically of an average age of 21 years, right? So it's like, as a fan, it's unbelievable. And I know the Sens fans are loving it right now. What's it like out there with you guys? I'm sure you're having fun, right?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, it feels like I'm still a junior, honestly. I mean,
yeah,
we're so young. Like, it's all of our first years, and we're just getting our feet wet, and it's pretty special. I mean, obviously we get to play against every team's a really good team in our division, so it's a challenge for us. Every single night we get to play against some of the best players in the world in our division. So it's special for sure, and we're having fun every day. I mean, we're coming into the rink, we don't got anything else to do, so we're making the most out of it every day. And it's been a blast, and the older guys have made it so welcoming for us young guys, and yeah, I'm loving it. It's been great.
Awesome.
Do you feel left out because Tim Stützle, Josh Norris, and Brady Tkachuk all live together? So I'm just like, hey, you're like, guys, what about me?
Yeah. So I came up like December 12th, like about a month before training camp started. And I was living with another guy, Logan Shaw, from back home. So we drove up together, and we were living here. But they don't let us live together like the AHL and the NHL guys. So I got left out. So now I'm just alone. But if we were allowed to live together, I would still be living with him. But I don't think the boys got an extra room over there. So
yeah, but it's kind of nice. It's nice to have your own space though, right? Like even on the road, like when they try playing you with a roommate, and then you got obviously the luck of the draw. You said last season you were kind of on your own. I know with me, it was always like that. I kind of just wanted to be on my own when I was in the room. And then you get the odd guys that like can't be alone and they're always calling you up and be like, hey, what are you doing right now? Want to hang out? And I'm like, no, man, I just want to watch a movie and be alone.
Yeah, no, it's nice. Like today coming home from a 12-day road trip, you've been around the guys, eating dinner with them all the time and hanging out in the players lounge. So coming home today and just having my own place just to, relax is awesome. And not having to clean up anyone else's dishes is nice too.
What's it like? So there's no media around, like the locker room is just yours. There's no one else around. You're all isolated all the time. Can you take us through the environment of playing through COVID?
Yeah. Like they put a rule in about probably 20 games into the season where like all the guys have to be like spread out in the locker room. So like in Toronto, we're the forwards, the young guys usually are in the whole different room. Like in Montreal, we were like on the opposite end of the hall, like me, Brady, Timmy, Norris, like we had our own dressing room. So like you're not even around some of the guys like at all. And no, it's just weird. Like, yeah, like you said, there's no media. You got to do it through Zoom. And like, it's weird. Like you just do media through Zoom. You don't know who to look at when you're talking. Like it's just a little different, but it's just a weird year, but we're all happy we can just be playing. Like,
yeah, I didn't know that about the dressing room. Like that's news to me because you guys are all locking shoulders on the ice, right? Like when you're on the bench and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't want to bring up any contentious questions. I'm just saying, like, what's the point? Like, you know what I mean, Wally?
Yeah. But that's anyway. If they want to keep playing, they got to do it. So
you're right. I shouldn't have even brought it up.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you get a lot of space in the dressing room though, which is
true.
No one's stepping on your sticks.
Do you have any weird or different like pregame rituals, superstitions, any of that stuff, routines?
Not really, honestly. They're pretty easy going. Like even during that streak, people are asking me like, "You must be doing the same thing every day," but like usually I stop and get a coffee somewhere on the way or something like that. Like if it was Timmy's or Starbucks, it wouldn't matter. Like I'm not really superstitious. I just kind of go with the flow and whatever happens. Yeah.
What was your welcome to the NHL moment? Now it could very well be your first goal because you scored it in your first game on your first shot, and you're the only Senator in franchise history to record a game-winning goal as his first NHL goal. But did you have a particular moment you're like, okay, I'm playing in the NHL?
Yeah, no, I think like my first practice in Ottawa, I was playing on a line with Matt Duchesne and Ryan Dzingel, who's now back with us. And I watched Duchesne like my whole life growing up. So it was pretty cool to be playing on a line. My first NHL practice with him, and then got to play with him in some games. And I just remember like scoring my first goal against Detroit, like Nicholas Cromwell just saying like congrats to me, just guys on the other team, just stuff like that's pretty cool, I think. And got to play against Sid my second game. So, right off the bat, there's some pretty cool moments for sure.
We try not to mention Crosby's name around here just due to the fact that
I know there's a little tension there.
Yeah, and Wally just loves to bring it up every interview, and it's like it never gets old for Wally. So I just sit here looking like an idiot. Anyway,
yeah. I'll stop talking about him now.
It's all good.
If you're by the way talking to Sid, just tell him we'd like to have him on the show at some point. Your dad, as you talked about being a very good golfer, is also a pro hockey player. He scored 37 goals one year to lead Germany's Tier 2 league. Now, I'm just curious if that's a goal you have in mind to score 38 some seasons so you can have bragging rights in the family.
Yeah, no, it's kind of funny you asked that because my first year in Belleville, I ended up getting 62 points. My dad had a year in the American League. He had 61. And so before my last game, I had 60, and he was beating me by 1. And he texted me, he's like, "Are you going to beat me tonight or not?" And I ended up getting 2 in the last game to beat him. But no, he still got me in goals he had 27 one year in the American League. So he's got a few bragging rights, but if I can beat that in any league, it'd be pretty special. But no, he's got the bragging rights for now.
I'm gonna assume the family penalty minutes is not one you're chasing with Denny VL being your uncle.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna catch that one by the end of my career, no matter. But I think if I fought for the next 200 games, I don't even think I'd catch him. So, I think that'll be unbroken.
You had 5 points in your first 3 games in the NHL. You had points in every game. I'm just like, did you think life was pretty good when you first started?
Yeah, I remember my rookie year, just like some of the guys saying, "Oh, it's an easy league" and stuff like that, eh? And you kind of get caught up in that as a young guy. You're looking at Twitter, you're watching your goals, I don't know, maybe 10 times, and that was kind of what I was like in my first year, and I kind of got caught up in that, and then I went dry for like 15 games, and that's when I realized like you got to be so consistent every night. And I think when you look at the guys who produce, and the most successful guys in the world are producing almost every night and helping the team win. So that's what kind of my mindset is now. Just not getting caught up and all that kind of stuff, and just trying to produce and be ready to go every night. I think that's what's going to keep you in the NHL for a long time. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, it's smart. I was just going to ask you on that. So like social media and stuff, and especially during COVID, you guys are bored. You're not doing anything. You're sitting in your hotel rooms. It's probably pretty easy to just pick up your phone and just search your name or like look up what people are saying. Do you guys like actively avoid that? Like, what's your approach?
Yeah, like I think when I was like my first couple of years, I'd always be doing it. Like, I'd go to Twitter, search Batherson, and then obviously you see stuff that like you like to see, and then stuff you don't like to see. So I kind of figured out after a while, you just kind of avoid it and just stick to talking to your buddies and stuff like that, rather than going on Twitter and searching up your name. I mean, I'm always watching NHL, so I see a lot of stuff all the time about the league. So I don't really get caught up too much anymore about that. Smart. But for sure, when you're younger, you can get caught up in that, and that's why I tell younger guys, just to don't worry about what other people's opinions and stuff like that.
And what does your mom think of social media when she sees your name?
Yeah, I don't know. My mom's more of I think pure Facebook, really, more than anything. So. She's only got the family friends on there, so I'm sure it's just all positive vibes on there.
Yeah. I curious about golf. If you had to pick a foursome, who are the other 3 players you want to have in your foursome?
Oh, it's a good one. I got asked this on my buddy's podcast a few weeks ago, actually. Probably go. Probably go Tiger, DJ, and
Patrick Reed.
Rory, not Reed. I'll go Rory, DJ, and Tiger.
Pretty good group, yeah.
I'd be chasing them all day.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, they'd be bombing them out there.
You played with Stützle the other night on the power play, and you had the off wings and everybody got excited. Is that something that's maybe going to stay with the two of you in those positions?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard this year because you play teams, 3 games in a row and they catch on to,
right.
If you have a good night, game 1 against them, and you play them 2 more times that week, they're going to catch on to what you're doing. So you kind of got to mix it up every once in a while. And I think, and we were going good on our forehands. And then last night we just switched to the one-timer sides, and we ended up scoring. Obviously, Timmy made a great play there to Brady. So, I think you'll see us go back and forth depending on the team and depending if it's working or not. So, no, I don't think we're stapled in any position right now. I think we're still young and they're trying to figure things out. So, no, I'm just going where I'm told and trying to get the job done.
That's a good answer. Smart answer.
You've played a lot with Josh Norris and a little bit, and obviously Brady Tkachuk, and then sometimes it Stützle. Like, what I guess when you're playing with Josh Norris in the middle, who's been playing so well and is considered a rookie, what's it like with the chemistry? Because the two of you have obviously played in the AHL together too.
Yeah, like we almost played the full year last year together, and he's a special player. Obviously, he lit it up last year, had a tremendous year, and he's having a great year this year too. And he's just got so many factors to his game. He's probably got one of the best wrist shots on our team. He's one of the fastest skaters. He's good on draws. Like, he's just going to keep getting better, every day, and he's going to be, a great player for a long time. So no, it's awesome being able to play with him, and yeah, it's special being able to play with him last year, and then both transitioned to the NHL this year. It's been awesome, been a treat to play with everyone. I think we're all having fun, and we're close off the ice. So no, it's been easy transition onto the ice too.
I was curious, you're all going to grow up together, arguably, depending on how this all plays out, but you're also young in your early 20s. Is there a really tight bond with this group, and includes obviously Thomas Chabot is another one? Do you sense how tight this group is?
Yeah, I mean, we all love the game. We're always watching hockey on the road in the players' lounge, hanging out, getting dinner, you name it. Like, we're all the youngest guys in the team, so we're all gonna get glued together somehow. And like I was saying earlier, we're always in the same dressing room on the road. They always put the young guys in the same room, so we're together 24/7 right now. And yeah, the chemistry is just growing on and off the ice. And yeah, we all love hanging out together, and just we're all pretty easygoing and like to have fun. So we have a good time.
Okay, there's always one who's the most annoying in the group, and I've got a feeling it's Colin White because he gets picked on the most.
Yeah, Whitey's always yapping. He doesn't stop talking, this guy, and then he'll beat, and then he'll just go beat us all in cards too. And it's just you just never hear the end of it from him. But he's a great guy too, and he keeps it light. Nick Paul always telling jokes, keeping it light. I don't know if you play with him, Mark, a bit. Probably
a little bit. Yeah, he's a good dude. I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, no, he's an awesome guy too. So no, we have a great balance in the room right now, and we're having a lot of fun this year. I mean, for what we can do.
Yeah.
Is there, okay, so, and obviously the record dictates that there's been some struggles, and I'm curious, we always talk about there needing to be veterans who have a good voice and bring something off the ice into the room. So has there been someone who stepped up at this, at this particular point, and just to say, hey guys, we're going to work through this, or just to make sure everybody's kind of on the same page?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a few voices. Obviously, the guys who wear letters are speaking up in the room, and then older guys who have been in the league a while. I mean, we got guys who've been to, won Stanley Cups and been to the Stanley Cup finals and knows what it takes to win. So, there's a good mix of guys who are, leading the way when, things are going wrong. And, those are things you like to hear when you're a young guy, and then, take that with you for the rest of your career and pass it along when you're the older guy. So no, it's been great, and, great learning experience for me this year, listening to those guys. And I'm always asking them questions, on the road about, what's gone on in their careers and stuff. So, I'm always learning, and, they've been awesome.
If you're on a 2-on-0 breakaway and you and Colin White both have 2 goals and it's an empty net, do you pass the puck?
Yeah, I'd probably give it to him so he could buy me dinners for the rest of the year or something like that.
And do you have, so Daniel Alfredson was on, he talked about he liked chips as this kind of cheap food. And then Bobby Ryan said he liked designer cream soda. So do you have a cheap food that you like that you don't necessarily tell anybody on the team that's maybe a nutritionist?
Yeah, I love popcorn. Like last season when the movie theaters were open, I'd go to the movies just to walk in and get popcorn and walk out, like go to take it home. Like put a little dill pickle seasoning or something on it. Like that's probably my favorite thing when I'm watching hockey at night. Fire a bag of popcorn in the microwave, and
it's the best.
Yeah, that's my go-to.
Yeah. And the butter there, I layer it. I go in there and I'm like, no, you don't fill that to the top. I want halfway. I take it, I cake on the butter, and then I do it again on the top. So nothing beats. That's the one thing I'm going to miss, I think, because I don't see us going back to a movie theater anytime soon. But
no,
man, that popcorn's the best.
Oh yeah, I get an extra large bag and have it for like 3 days.
Didn't see this coming at all.
No.
So do you have a particular go-to meal that you have perhaps game days always seem to be chicken and pasta, but is there something that you always have that would be the Drake Batherson designer meal?
Honestly, I like to mix it up. Whatever. Usually on game day, I eat pasta, so I try to eat something a little different the night before. Maybe like steak and some potatoes or rice or whatever. So I'm not too picky, honestly. Like if we're on the road, someone's ordering something, I'll just say order double or whatever. But I'm not too picky at all, honestly. Just whatever's in front of me, I'll mow down.
And besides working out and golf, what do you like to do in the summer when you're back home?
Yeah. So I spend the first part of the summer back home in my hometown, and all my buddies are still there. So, we'll do whatever, hang out. It's pretty easy going where I'm from.
The better question is, do you have a girlfriend or anybody?
Yeah, I do have a girlfriend. So
okay, so your summers are different from maybe what my summer looked at when I was 21.
Yeah, like it can't be with the boys all the time, but
okay. No, I get that. Yeah, I had to sewer you there a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, that's right. No, it's a good mix though, and we just like to have fun. It's pretty easy going, like I said. So, whatever it is, day to day, all my buddies golf, so we're usually at the course hanging out.
It's awesome.
Last question I have is: you scored the shootout winner in Calgary the other night. Do you have a shootout move, or are you one to mix it up?
Yeah, I used to like going to the backhand a lot in junior, and then I started doing it in pro and went like 2 for 11 in my first year. So I said I'm gonna have to change it up a bit here. But no, I always like watching Kane and those guys. They have like 4 or 5 go-to moves they do. So I think as I go on, I'm gonna try to do the same and hopefully be half as good as them one day in the shootout. So, it's one thing I would like to get better on for sure. I mean, it's crucial and at some point of the year to get that extra point. So, try to be as best I can in it for sure.
It's got to be fun to be the shootout winner guy, no matter what level, right?
Yeah, no, it's pretty nice turning back towards your bench and all the boys are coming towards you for sure. That was the first time I think I've ever, won it on my goal in the shootout. So, it's pretty special.
Ah, very nice.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever won it like that before. So, it's cool.
Quickly, Kirill Kaprizov is 24 and is now the leading scorer among rookies. And you have 2 on your team in Stützle and Josh Norris, who are Calder Trophy candidates. Do you think there should be a rule change about age limits for Calder Trophy?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like a lot of those Russian guys come over at that age, like Panarin. I forget how old he was when he came to Chicago and lit it.
That's Kane. Assuming that they're not lying about their age, right? But,
yeah, that's right. I mean, I live with Igor Sokolov, who's playing in Belleville.
What's he like, 30?
Yeah, he came in. It was my last year junior. I was 19, and he came in as a 17-year-old at 6'4", 230 with a full beard.
Of course. Oh, listen, I know. I played with guys, and I'm like, dude, this guy's already got arthritis in his right knee, and he's like, got to be 45. I get it.
I'm like, this guy just turned 17, but I don't know. Yeah, couldn't tell you what goes on over there, but no, that Kaprizov's a great player. I've been watching him all year, and he had a hat trick there last night. So, it'll be a good battle. I think with the last couple of games left, hopefully the boys can get hot and try to catch them for sure.
Do you have a nickname?
Yeah, I got a couple nicknames. I got Bath. I got Drake the rapper's nickname is Drizzy, so a lot of you guys call me that. Schmatzy, I don't know if you guys seen that the other day. Timmy calls me that. A lot of guys. Yeah, long story.
Yeah,
well, we got lots of time.
Yeah. So I was watching this guy who used to play for the Bruins. His name was Bobby Schmatz. He was a defenseman, and I forget. I was like 15 or 16. I was watching this Don Cherry documentary, and he was coaching the Bruins, and he kept yelling at this guy Schmatzy on the back end. And I told the boys to start calling me Schmatzy, and then all my buddies ever since then have called me Schmatzy, and every guy I played with in pro. So that's what I go by.
It's a tough nickname.
Yeah.
That's gold.
Yeah,
So,
like even my coaches last year, that's all they called me. So,
well, Schmotzy, I appreciate your time because we've had a good chat here. And now I look forward to never knowing you as Drake Batherson again.
Yeah, you can call me. I'm good with Drake. I like it.
All right, well, take care, Schmotzy.
Yeah, thank you very much,
get
guys.
some rest. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Okay, Meth, when we decided to do this little podcast thing, it wasn't long after we knew we had to have a name. Now, you would think we spent about 30 seconds on it based on what it came out to be, but that's not the case. So
we went through a lot of options, and I think it took us several weeks, right? Like at least 2 weeks, I want to say.
Yeah, it was not actually as easy as it looked. So to help sort this all out and explain what has gone on, we bring in our good friend of the show, the Athletics, Ian Mendes, who also hosts the Athletic Show Hockey Podcast, and of course, producer Craig, who doesn't really sure if he wants that name or not. So, gentlemen, it is all on you to why we have this name. I have on my person right now, we used 28 different names before we decided on the Wally and Methot show. So, Mendes, can you start it off by perhaps telling us how we got here? Because you and I were the first ones to have a chat, because I know that you and I like to play around with names and have some fun with some puns.
Yeah, listen, the one thing I want to let your listeners know, or your viewers know, is at one point during this process, I thought to myself, I think I would rather adopt a child with Wally and name that child rather than name this podcast. Honestly, it felt that would be less work than naming this podcast. Raising a child, and I don't even care what the name is of the child. That would be easier than settling on the name of this podcast.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
No, it's right.
He was relentless. I was getting texts from him nonstop, and I full disclosure, I had very little to do with it because I kept saying, I don't care, like call it whatever you want kind of thing. And Wally would just be hammering me with like 6 different names every day. And I'm like, Wally, I don't care. Just pick something.
And you're ruining all our good material, because I'm going to read a text message from you later. We started with stuff like the Split Finger podcast, the Crushed Hand podcast, the Hanging Nail podcast, because I felt we maybe should go towards the finger and be a little bloodied stump that we could use as a logo. But that quickly didn't last. So we moved on to, upon further review, shooting from the hip, on the mark, from the point, on the point, to the point to point, and on it went. Mendes, I feel your pain because I didn't want to go. Yeah, we just kept going back and forth.
The whole thing turned into another potential name for this was Cluster Puck. I threw this out. I think you guys should have called this podcast Cluster Puck with Meth and Wally, or Wally and Meth. Cluster Puck.
See, and that's what we were into at the point, because by then it was shift disturbers. But every time we do this, Craig would always go, guys, why are we overthinking this? But nobody wanted to listen to Craig.
It drove me crazy. Because I would get you settled on something. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's it. Point to point. Yeah, we're point to point. And then the next day you're like, I hate point to point. I was like, let's just get to where we're going. So that's why it always came back to, like, and honestly, we were, no matter what, I just started grabbing Wally and Methot, everything, right? The URL, the social media names is like, we're going to pick something, and it's just, everyone's just going to call it this anyway. So let's just call it this. So that was my contributions, was I would accept phone calls after he's spoken to you guys. And I got to hear the brand new ideas that we weren't going to pick.
Puck Support, the Time and Space podcast, Keeping in Check Hockey podcast. And then there was the last one, the Wally and Methot podcast, brackets, Because I Give Up. And that's what it became. And Meth is like, I don't really give a rat's ass. You can have my name first if you want. And that threw everything into a wrench all over again.
Well, you couldn't use Meth. That's the clear cut answer here, is like, that was obviously something that is very inappropriate if you don't really know who we are. So we just decided to go. And Methot, I don't know, I still think my name probably should have gone first, but Wally and his inflated ego. So I just let him have it.
Wait,
I also pitched, you'd be lifting from Elliot Friedman, but 31 Methots.
That's right. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's a nice little play on words. Yeah.
I wanted Wally on Meth, but nobody seemed really down for that one.
That one's pretty good. I actually enjoyed that one. Yeah.
And there are a couple of notables that aren't on here. Brent Not Broken. And there was another one with Brent out of shape was another one that our good
there's
friend
no need to
Sam
get
came up
Brent
with.
out of shape.
See, those are pretty good, but then Meth would be upset his name's not included.
I remember
so
being
we-
really frustrated with half of them didn't have good acronyms either. It's like snurf. It's like, oh man, like they didn't even break down well. Like there was a battle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we tried the hip check stuff, but the hip check podcast didn't really work for us. So all of a sudden we stopped at the Wally and Methot show, and that was it. And I blame Craig.
I think I'm going to take credit for helping. Like that's all I pushed was let's just call it that and keep going. we talked about the name that was the longest decision out of everything we did was the name. And it's the most common, like straightforward name you can think of at the end of the day. I think that we nailed it. Perfect. We took the long route, but we got there.
Yeah. Says the guy who came up with the name. We nailed it. We got it perfectly.
Done.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? Like 3 seconds after I think we agreed to that, the logo showed up in a text message. We got it, guys.
We had a word mark. We had a logo. We had all the URLs. Yeah, that was not by mistake. We're as soon as we made the decision, we were locking it down because I couldn't go back through it again.
So, boys, I couldn't have done it without you, I think. And so we all appreciate the time and effort you put into this. It was one frustrating endeavor.
Hey, listen, I've listened to your first couple of podcast episodes, guys, when I've been at the gym. It's been great. I've really thoroughly enjoyed this. And I think what's really great for your listeners is what you guys have done in your first 2 episodes. I can't wait like 6 months from now, a year from now, you're going to look back and realize how much you've grown. So this is great. Thank you for letting me, be a little part of the naming process, even though at the end of the day, I had no influence on it. It just wasted about 4 days of my time, but I appreciate it. And it's awesome seeing the traction you guys are getting. All 3 of you in this marketplace, all 3 of you deserve everything good that's coming to you. So this is great.
We appreciate it. Thanks. Now I'm thinking that maybe
you.
Methot should be in front of Wally, and now we're gonna have to go through this all over again.
Never.
I'm just curious as to, I mean, we just wasted how much of Ian's time for this segment? Was it really worth?
Thought we were done with names. No, relive it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
goals.
thanks. Hey, Ian, we appreciate you stopping by. I promise never to bring this up again.
Yeah. See, I stopped I said to myself, I stopped shaving. I've given up now ever since this naming thing came into my life. I just wear sweatpants. I don't shave. This is what you've done to me.
We miss you.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Bye.
There goes Ian Mendes of The Athletic, who does great stuff working with the Ottawa Senators. He's put out some great articles recently. Also, his mid-season report card, very good stuff. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We've got Trivial Trivia, which is also something Ian helped to name. You're watching the Wally and Methot show. And I want to say a special thank you to Drake Batherson and to The Athletic's Ian Mendes for joining us on the big show today. Don't forget, the next show comes your way on Thursday. Another big guest, Meth.
Yeah, he's pretty good at playing hockey.
You know what? You can say he's a former teammate. It's okay. We'll give you at least, you can say that much. Okay. Don't forget, you can subscribe and watch us right here on YouTube. Don't forget to like it. Also available on most podcasts. We're trying to eventually, hopefully, Craig has worked his way through the Google podcasts, but we're up on Apple and we're up on Spotify. All right. Time now for Trivial Trivia. Craig?
Ooh, okay. So last Thursday, the question was asked, what was the name of Bobby Ryan's motorhome? Of course, he revealed it in the interview. Darlene was the answer. Everybody got caught up on that one. So the winner is, let me read this, at Jason Noonan 117. Jason will be reaching out and we are going to be sending you a Bobby Ryan bobblehead. And for today's question, we're going to rewind back to the old Drake Batherson interview and ask, what is Drake's super duper sneaky cheat snack? Hit us on Twitter with the hashtag Wally and Methot, and we will reveal the answer on Thursday's show.
And Meth, tell them what they're going to win.
They're very fortunate. Let me tell you, they're going to win an autographed picture of myself.
That's outstanding. Now,
And I'll personalize it if they want, or if they want me to just sign my name, they can put it on Craigslist or whatever, and we'll rock and roll.
And who's the Flyer player that you're blowing by there in the picture?
I think it's Hartnell, but I don't think I was his man. I think he's okay back there.
Okay. Before we go, I want to do stick taps to Dave Joy. Now, today would mark the 21st anniversary of the two of us working together. So in fact, we worked nearly 21 years at TSN. He was my cameraman. We traveled the world together. We did a ton of stuff. He always looked out for me. We spent too much time in hotels and too much time in airports and on planes, but there's nobody I'd rather travel around the world with than with Dave. He looked out for me. He took care of me. Nobody made sure I looked better than Dave. So to Dave Joy, I thank you and I miss you. Now, for something a little special for both of you, and that is, we've started this thing about a week ago, and well, we don't really have a big budget, but I wanted to get you something for working so hard. So you each have a gift beside you, and I'd like you now to open it up and reveal the big. Now, just remember, I haven't seen it. I've ordered it, and I had a couple of glasses before I did it. So I'm not sure what it's going to look like.
Wow. Can I open it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cracking them?
Yeah. Hey, it doesn't have my face on it, so at least you should be thankful.
Very classy, Wally. It is our
like
own personalized Wally and Methot show mug. I've got a new show now. This is great. This is unbelievable. Thank you.
I'm gonna put some booze in here. I think just leave it here and use it on the show.
One fight. It is not dishwasher safe. Just a final note.
Oh,
Okay, and it
I
might
get to
be
hand wash
flammable.
it.
I have no idea.
Oh, good.
All right, we'll see you next Thursday, guys. Take care.
It's not hand washing this, is it? I'm not. Can you not put it on the dishwasher?
No, I think I think
you
you got to hand wash it.
Yeah, this is Bush League, Wally, but thank you.
You gave me chores.
Like, it's more work. Thanks, bro.
You're so
And to think he drove like 40 minutes from Stittsville to drop this thing.
So,
you know what? Classy.
Yeah.
No.
No, I'll take it back.
No, I love it. Did you get yourself one?
I did.
No, Wally, I'm pretty sure you can throw these in the washer. Like we throw all our own mugs in there.
Yeah, but it's because it's got a stamp on it. It's gonna wear off.
Oh, it's because it's cheap.
Frugal. Frugal.